Hello everyone. Today's exercise is about the edges, how the edges plays a huge role in our painting. So this is my canvas pad, which I have divided into several pieces. So first I started with rectangular here, and then draw a diagonal line, some horizontal and vertical lines, and some intersecting lines afterwards. So this portion, which is divided into several pieces, and I want to show you how the edge work works. So I have my typical palette, which is titanium white, cadmium yellow light, cadmium red light, alizarin crimson, ultramarine blue, phthalo blue, and emerald green, which I hardly use, but most of the time it's these colors that I use. And I have my Gamsol here for cleaning. So let's start. And I'm using my Rosemary and Company brushes number 8, which is a synthetic bristle brushes. So let's just get started. And each block, I'm going to put down some different colors next to each other. So every box will have a variety of colors into it. And we'll assess how these edge work is going to work. Okay. And I'm using pretty chunky paint out here. It's not like really thin. It's really thick paint. And I have my tissue box here just to wipe off the colors from my brush. So I'm just mixing some random colors and just putting it down here. Now it's kind of like a green. And I love to use a limited palette because it gives you a harmony in your painting. So red, yellow, and blue has nothing in common, but as soon as you start mixing them, you create harmony. So I highly recommend you use a limited palette for your painting practice. These are pretty thick brush strokes. And it's very random, nothing specifically designed. So I have some blue, which may be here. Some purple by adding alizarin crimson. As you can see, I still have some of those green in my brush, and I am just putting it down. So what it does is just create a nice combination of green and purple together. So it's not just one color. You can see variety of color in your paint mixes. So we can put some brighter color here. Okay. almost done. Okay, I can put some more bright colors here. Okay, so let's look at the closer look at the um, this little piece here. And so hard edges and softer edges or lost edges, I mean, between this color and this one, there's definitely a hard edge, because you know these two colors are really opposite to each other, like black and white. Same thing here. That's a lighter blue color and a almost dark color like black. So yes, there is a hard edge. So when you paint, you will see these kind of color combinations next to each other. But if we look at, for instance, these two colors, one is warmer, the other one is cooler. They're different colors, but they're exactly the same value. So there, if you squint, there is no edge. It's almost like a lost edge, or uh, you know, blended edge right here. Same thing here. These colors and these colors, greens, one is lighter, one is darker. So yes, there will be an edge. But these two colors here, one is green, one is orange. It's almost the same value. So it does not, you cannot read the edge. So when you're painting, you have to create these kind of combinations of warms and cools next to each other, so you can have a interesting color choices in your painting. Another thing is the brushworks. When you are mixing colors, you don't want to mix too much. You just want to mix a little bit so that you can have some yellows and greens and purples all in that one spot that you can combine. So that's about the edge. And some of these brighter colors next to the dull color also creates a vibrancy in your painting. Same thing here. That bright blue color next to the neutral gray color. It comes forward. This color comes forward. Definitely that color comes forward. So warmer color comes forward and cooler color recedes in the distance. Hello everyone. So I want to show you how that edge work will work in our painting. So I want to show you some like a still life, for instance, let's say cup and a fruit next to each other, and see how the edge work will work. I'm not using any reference photo or anything. I'm just gonna, do it on my own, like a little shapes. So let's say draw a cup here. And when I'm drawing like a still life, I always have this plus sign so that my proportions are accurate. Okay, so that's my roughly draw cup right here. And I just mix some random colors for the drawing, and nothing fancy, like a dark color, like brown color. And the handle of the cup is somewhere here. Okay, and let's assume that the light is coming from this direction, so all the shadow will happen on this side of the painting, on these objects. So let's say shadows coming here, so let's assume that the shadow will be here, and maybe I can put down some more objects here. So let's say I have a apple next to each other, like a smaller apple, for instance. Okay, and there is a shadow for the apple. And there's a little stem. Okay, so that's just my general drawing for the object. Let's draw a shadow. So that's going to be a shadow. That's going to be a shadow. This is all shadow here. So my drawing brush is done. Maybe I can use a bigger brush. We just want to see how the edges will work in our painting. So I have a big brush now, which is number 8, flat. I love to use flats and brights because they have a nice crisp edge here. And let's say we want to paint our cup like a blue color. And so when I paint, I always put down my shadows first, because once you have your shadows established, you can read your painting better. So let's say my shadow color is blue, but it's always gray because shadows are gray. And something vibrant color. And I just want to block in this entire space here, even for the little handle for the cup. I'm going to block in here. And inside of the cup is little different colors. So let's say maybe lighter color. Okay. Okay, so, and the shadow I'm going to put down like a neutral gray, which is alizarin crimson, ultramarine blue, and a little hint of yellows, just to dull it down. So I'm just going to block in here. Okay, that's a pretty rough sketch. And I always paint from inside to outside. So basically I'm painting these objects. Like I'm not thinking, I'm just, like putting down the abstract shapes of colors. For instance, the red apple here is shadow here is dull red, which is cadmium red with a little bit of ultramarine blue and maybe a yellow, just to down the shadow colors. So this is my pretty rough looking apple here. Okay, and the shadow for the apple is also kind of purple, and it has a red here, little bit of red peeking through because of the color of the apple is bright. Okay. Now I'm going to put down the lighter color for each object. Using that same brush, number 8. And so apple in light family is lighter than these colors. So anything that I paint now on will be brighter and lighter than these colors. And when I start painting, I always put down what is my darkest color, like one darkest dark spot. For instance, I can say my darkest dark spot would be somewhere underneath the cup here, like this one, which is very, very dark and nothing else. Okay, so that's one darkest dark spot. Okay, so let's go back to the lighter color for the apple. From now on, everything is going to be brighter and lighter than these colors. And I'm just taking some Gamsol because my canvas pad is really dry. Okay. Okay. And as the apple progresses towards the shadow, it creates a softer edge here. And between that color and this color, there is a hard edge. This color is way darker than that color. So yes, it creates a darker edge around the object. Now, let's go back to this color, which is lighter blue for the cup. Okay. You basically working on a two-dimensional surface to create a three-dimensional object. In order to do that, you have to have a lights and shadows establishment. Otherwise, it's not going to read as 2D. It's going to look flat. If you don't have enough shadows, it's going to look flat for sure. Right here, we're inside of the cup, and I want to create a nice strong light underneath. Okay. Okay. Now when I'm painting, I'm not thinking about details. I'm thinking about the shapes and colors and values. So I have one color for shadow, one color for light, one color for shadow, one color for light, and these are just shadow colors. Now I need to carve out each object in order to make it look realistic. I cannot leave it as is. So things that is important, you can create a hard edge, and things are not important, you can have a lost edge, because when you have a hard edge, your eyes are drawn in that particular area. You want to see that action, what's happening there. So my thing about the painting is I want my apple to be the focal point here, because it's very bright and very strong in color. So I will have some stronger color here, like a high contrast color basically, just to have that apple emphasize, like a focal point. Yeah, I want to have the apple looking more interesting in my painting. Okay. I always have a gradual change in the shadow color. I never ever put like one color for the shadow. I always have transitional color. For instance, this color and that color is almost the same. You know, you can create a softer edge by your fingers. Your fingers are your best friend. You can play with them. You can just, you know, create a nice, beautiful work with that. And make every brushstroke count. Intentional brushstrokes. You want to create some interesting brush marks in your work, so people will say, wow. Okay, so here I can just put down some darker colors here in the back just to make that pop. So I will put something dark color against that lighter color. I'm always looking for variety of colors in my work. Interesting brush marks and varieties of color. That's what I really enjoy in my work. Okay. So the shadows are established, and you can tell where is the hard edge, where is the softer edge. you know, the lightest color, the darkest dark color. As for now, my lightest light color is right here, my darkest dark is here, but it's gonna change because I'm going to put down some highlight on my red apple. So I'll take some white color and some cadmium red light. I never ever put down pure white as my highlight because that just looks striking. Okay, right there, and some highlight on the cup. So titanium white with whatever the object I'm working on. In this case, it's the blue cup, so I'll have some nice highlight here. And some highlight can also go inside the cup here. And I like to play with these edges, like I can just smudge it out, like soften them, or like blend it, like for instance like that, because I like to have variety here. For instance here. And I can create a nice little stem for the apple. I'm always mixing red, yellow, and blue in my painting, always. Here's a little knob. And always have a reflected light. So I think the blue cup will reflect onto the red apple. So I can go back and put some reflected light, which is a blue cup in this case. So white with ultramarine blue with little hint of alizarin crimson. When you're painting outdoors, you're going to have a reflected light as your sky color, because the blue color is the dominating color and you will have a lot of blue in your painting, so you have to have those. And same with the cup, it will also pick up some of these red colors from the apple, so it has to have that nice red in your cup. Okay, so here is my cup and apple painting, just to show how edge work works here. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.